Radio with your host, Jann Scott. If you or someone you know has a problem with alcohol, drugs, codependency, eating disorders, or any addiction, we'd like to hear from you. Here's the phone number, 457-9952. Jann will be taking your phone calls in just a moment at 457-9952.
Evening, everybody. This is Jann Scott. Welcome to Addiction Free Radio. We'll be here with you for the next 57 minutes or so. Addiction Free Radio is a call-in talk show. We talk about alcoholism, drug addiction, codependency, eating disorders, the 12 steps. We talk about adult children, dysfunctional families. We talk about God, compulsive spending. We talk about relationship addictions. Now, we're here coming to you from KJIM in Thornton, Denver, Colorado. We reach out over a good part of the West, as we're being told, all the way up to Butte, Montana, Calgary, Canada, out into Nebraska, up into Wyoming. Our call-in phone number actually is area code 303-457-9952, area code 303-457-9952, so jot that down. The hour goes by quickly, so those of you who want to get your calls in, get them in as soon as you can. Let's see, tonight we have two guests that we'll be talking with in a little bit, Bob Cote and Kathy Ellis from Step 13. We're going to be talking about the problems for homeless people who are suffering from addiction and alcoholism. And they have a program called Step 13, which works very well here in Denver, and we're going to talk about how they and how you and I can help street addicts and street winos get off the street and actually recover. So we'll be talking with them in just a little bit. Now, for those of you who have just tuned in for the first time to Addiction Free Radio, we're the only show that we know of here in the United States. If there are some others, we'd sure like to know about it. I don't know of any others that are going on right now like this. If you are in your car and listening, or driving out in the interstates, you want to talk to us, pull over, and go to a phone booth and give us a call. If you have a pressing problem about some particular addiction, especially tonight we're going to be talking about, what happens when we don't take care of ourselves, that we can actually end up on the streets. So again, our phone number here is area code 303-457-9952. I know a lot of people probably were listening to the Broncos. I have the feeling a lot of people are probably listening to our radio station tonight. Also, let's see, if you are incarcerated, if you are in one of the penal systems, Canyon City, or if you're up in Cheyenne, or in any of the sheriff's detention centers, you can call us here, collect. All right, you can call us collect at area code 303-457-9952 if you are incarcerated. What else? That's pretty much it for that. Now, a couple things I wanted to just share with you quickly. There are some developments that have happened since last week, really about this show. First of all, we picked up Mercy Medical Center, as you probably know or may not know, as a sponsor for our program. And you'll be hearing ads for them throughout the program. And Ed Owens, the guy who runs their substance abuse and eating disorders and all that sort of thing over there, really liked what we were doing and just decided that he was going to help sponsor this show. So I want to put out one personal message. If you know someone or you yourself need to go to treatment, call Mercy, listen to their ads, check them out. They have a great program there. And they have a program for teenagers, for kids. They have an eating disorder program there. I went to they have one for alcoholism for adults, and a very large unit. I also, they use a 12-step model there too. They have an adolescent program. I went and visited there and was given a tour on all of the floors and spent really about 2 or 3 hours talking with the entire staff there. So I have been on the grounds, and it is a reputable treatment center. It's been going for the past 16 years. So we want to thank Mercy for being on board with us here on Addiction Free Radio. Area code 303-457-9952 is the call-in talk number. few other things that have taken place here. Sometimes people get a little, maybe not confused, but this show seems to produce a lot of reactions. And I just want to share that with you. It seems to be one of those kind of shows that have produced powerful reactions in people. Sometimes, mostly very, very good. I have to tell you, we get a lot of good feedback on this. The reactions that are produced that are strange sometimes come from the Christian community, and they say, well, you're not Christian enough, or the community of our population that isn't Christian at all, and they say things like, well, you guys are awfully Christian. So let me just tell you this. Anybody can listen to the show. Anyone can participate. You don't have to be a Christian to listen or participate here. I happen to be a Christian, okay? KJIM happens to be a Christian radio station. We're here to help you. We're here to answer questions. If you have any problems with the disease of addiction, whether it be alcoholism or drug addiction, we're here to help you, and we're here to answer your questions. If we can get you referred to someplace, we'll sure try to do that. If you have a family member, if you know someone, maybe someone at work, or a sister or a brother or a mom or a dad who has a problem with any of the addictions like alcoholism or drug addiction, you can call us and we'll see what we can do to help you with them. Or if you know someone who's in dire need of this show, give them a call right now and tell them to tune us in, 760 AM. And this is maybe a gentle way to start to introduce somebody who's tremendously resistant into recovery. Let's see, what else do we have here? Syndication. I just want to let you know what's going on with syndication. I would just like to ask for your prayers. You know, we're praying for guidance on this thing. We're talking to several syndicators, national syndicators, about having addiction-free radio go nationwide. And it looks like it's going to happen. I don't know exactly how and when, but I just wanted to mention that to you. We are talking to syndicators on a regular basis. Okay, some other information is the Lighthouse is a place that opened in Boulder this past weekend. It is a theater. It's the Old Art Cinema. It's on the Pearl Street Mall, right in the heart of where there's a tremendous amount of addiction, active addiction going on right now. And this is a no-alcohol, non-violence kind of theater. They had, Rick Corey opened on Friday night. And it's a cafe, a really nice theater. All types of different music is going on there. They also advertise here on KJIM, but I wanted to let you know that I did attend their opening, and real impressed. Because here's the place now where you can go for some kind of entertainment where you know the films aren't going to be crazy. They're going to show movies during the week. They're going to have bands that aren't singing about a lot of insanity either. And so our hats are off to them, and we wanted to let you know here's a place where you can have clean and sober entertainment fun. What else did I want to tell you? I think that's it. So when we come back after this break, we're going to talk with Bob and Kathy about Step 13. We'll be back after this.
KJIM, the spirit of 76. You can talk with Jan in just a moment at area code 303-457-9952. Addiction-Free Radio is the only regularly scheduled radio talk show in the United States that we know of, broadcasting information for those suffering from an addiction. We're now taking phone calls at area code 303-457-9952. Take that important first step for your own well-being. It's absolutely free. Let us help at area code 303-457-9952.
At first, having a couple drinks sounds like a lot of fun.
Hey, come on, have another one.
But if you're not careful, a couple drinks can turn into a few too many.
Honey, I think you've had enough.
You've been late 3 times this week.
Then one day you start drinking alone, even when you're surrounded by people.
Dad.
All of a sudden, you're an alcoholic, but you really don't care until you realize it's a disease that's affecting a lot more people than you.
don't love me anymore.
Now you can push away the bottle and hold on to your family. Call Mercy Medical Center for help. We'll give you the strength you need to face your disease and the support you need to fight it. Call Mercy at 393-3500 because every time you pick up a drink, you let down someone you love.
And our number here on Addiction Free Radio is area code 303-457-9952. And you are listening to Addiction Free Radio. My name's Jann Scott. I have with me tonight here Bob Cote and Kathy Ellis from Step 13. Welcome. I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, you're real welcome. Now, Step 13 is a transitional living program for people who are addicts and winos on the street. So, can you tell us a little bit, Bob, what it is and when?
Let's let Kathy tell you how we started Step 13.
Sure.
Step 13 was started by 6 recovering people on the streets. The philosophy went for about a year and a half where these 6 got a storefront and lived down on Larimer. When a group of people that are involved with Step 13 came in 3.5 years ago, we formed a board of directors and decided that we liked the emphasis because it's a work-orientated program. So what it is people helping themselves to get over their recovery. When you're on the streets, it's more than just the addiction by that time. So it's a support system and a support base to work on self-esteem.
Yeah, and this was started by guys who came off the street, men and women who came off the street themselves and cleaned up, and then started this to help other people.
Correct. There were 6 men. It was all men at the time, and the situation just grew. When we came along, the group that I work with now, the chairman of our board and a few others, we just liked that. We saw there was an escape from the street because there aren't too many ways to get back off the street once you get there. So we decided to become involved.
I'm holding a pamphlet here in my hand. We're also talking with Kathy Ellis and Bob Cote, and it says the challenge facing Step 13 then and now is to help these men and women break their destructive drug, alcohol, and shelter, soup kitchen dependencies. What does that mean?
The difference between shelter, and we use that a lot because people can, they know what a shelter is, and Step 13 is that people have to be responsible. In our program, you're required to pay a fee to stay with us. It's $6.50 a day, $35.50 a week, or $120 a month. So they pay to be a part of our program. They also have to be responsible by going to work. They're required to be out of the facilities from 7 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. And they're responsible for their own food, preparing their food. So it's a hand up, not a hand out.
And that's what it says right here on the front of your street to mainstream, the transition from street to mainstream. So where is it? Where is Step 13?
We have 2 locations. The men's facility, which has a capacity of 99, is located at 2029 Larimer. And the women's center is in the Capitol Hill area, and that has a capacity for 25 women.
So the way this works then, if someone's a street, a wino, or how does somebody happen to get there?
All right, I'm going to give this to Bob at this point.
Okay.
Well, we take people word of mouth. We get them from detoxes, from hospitals, some from the courts. It's just when a man or a woman feels that they've had enough of the life that they're leading, and most of our clients are what you would call care planned. That's what the state of Colorado calls them, and they've been through every treatment center in town more than once, and they have given up on them. So they refer them to Step 13, and we do not turn anyone away, and we do very well with that type of client. But as I was showing, I know that John wouldn't mind me mentioning his name, John Aragon. I was showing you these pictures that we have of him, and as an example, John lived behind our building for a couple of years, and he was kind of the clown of Larimer, and today he's been sober a year and a half. He has a job, his own apartment. But for anyone out there, I would like you to think about this. if you have all your support systems in place, you have a wife, still have your job, still have your friends, then it's real hard to get your act together if you have that support system in place, let alone if you're laying down on Larimer, with nothing. So when those men or women come through that door, all their support systems are gone. So what we try to do is to fill that gap and to give them their self-esteem back and all the support they need to try to make this rough road that's ahead of them.
And so your program actually works, huh? I mean, it's not you don't just, this is not a flop house or a crash pad or anything like that.
Absolutely
or
not.
Or a shelter, just a shelter.
No, it's not a shelter. It's a two-way street. They do their part, we do our part. Their part is paying their fees, going to work, being responsible. It's a structured program. We have a curfew. Sunday through Thursday, it's 10 o'clock. Friday and Saturday, it's midnight. They're required to do their own cleaning, cooking. So it's about being responsible again, because if you've been on the street for 3 years, you know you haven't been responsible. You haven't been on time to anything because you haven't had to be anywhere.
You know what's amazing is that people actually respond to this, because so many of us say, well, the people down on the street, that's, down on Larimer or wherever they happen to be, they're hopeless, I mean, they're not making it in the treatment centers, they're not making it in the recovery centers. They bounce in and out of all the different programs, and we have shelters where a guy can go to a shelter, and we had someone on last week who talked about the dually diagnosed, the people who are both severely mentally ill and addicted who are on the street, and saying, that a lot isn't done. So, I mean, you showed me, we have these pictures here that you guys can't see, so I'll kind of be your eyes for you. One was this man named Gypsy. I presume he was John, right? Is that right? Or a different person?
No, there's John there.
Okay, that's all right. I got to tell you, this one person, his hair was very stringy and long. He looked like he was 65 years old. He looks just terrible in this picture. And then there's another picture. He practically looks like a lawyer. How many years later? 2 years later? A year later? 3 years later?
He's been sober about 2.5 years now. And one thing I'd like to add at this point that's a little different about Step 13, if you've been out on the street for a year, 2 years, or 6 years, such as Gypsy, it's impossible to get your act together in 30, 60, or 90 days. And that's what most treatment or helping centers, their time limits are for that length of time.
You were saying, okay, Bob, that a guy comes in, okay, and he comes in, he wants to come into the program, but he's all messed up. He can't think straight. He's still got maybe, the booze. I mean, does that happen? Do people come in with they're still been drinking when they come to your program?
Well, quite a few people come to our door right off the streets, and they want to try to straighten their life out. And what we do then is take them to a detox, and they'll be detoxed for 5 to 7 days, and then brought back to Step 13.
If they're interested, so you're going to have to kick whatever it is that you're on. Do you take anybody now? I mean, drug addicts or alcoholics? Does it matter?
We take anyone, drug addicts, alcoholics, and you do not have to be a drug addict or an alcoholic. If you're just in a bad situation and you don't know where to turn, then as long as you'll go by our rules, you're welcome at Step 13.
Is that so? You don't have to be a drug addict or an alcoholic. So you're helping people to learn how to become functional members of society again.
How to regroup, and we heard a saying the other day that there's about half the country is about 4 paychecks away from being on the streets. That doesn't mean that you're going to be an alcoholic or a drug addict, but if you're hanging around down on the skids in Larimer, you'll probably be drinking or drugging.
Now, if a person comes and you say they have to pay $6 a day, now how would a person, if you had nothing and you've been drinking for a long time, how do you come up with $6 a day to pay to pay your way through?
That's a good question. What we do is we have a 7-day grace period, and over the last couple of years, Step 13 has built up a large support base among employers, and we get calls every day for people to clean out warehouses, to paint houses, do different types of work. So we always have something for them to do. We also have a steady job program that we will refer a client to after he's been there anywhere from 2 to 3 months, so that we get an idea of where he's coming from, if he's very sincere or not. We get a lot of people, not everyone that comes through our door has an idea to get his act together. They're there to see what they can get for nothing.
We're talking with Bob Cote and Kathy Ellis from Step 13 here on Addiction Free Radio. So what is a transitional program, Kathy? Can you tell us?
All right. Well, again, as we said, by the time you've hit down on Step 13's doors, either the men's or the women's facility, your support bases are gone. Transition means a slow step upward. We have no time limit as long as there's some kind of growth. For some people, that can occur in a short time. For some people, it's 2 years. What happens in the men's facility, we have a dorm-type setting where the men start off. When they do well there and they start getting on their feet, then they go into 2 men to a room. Okay, from there they transition to where they've done better, they're steadily employed, they've been with us a while, they're handling things, and we have 1 man to a rooms, all in our living facility. These people live with us. At the women's facility, it's basically the same thing, but along the way, so not only do your living standards, so to speak, change, but it's like a direction up. One of the things that we offer both facilities, when you've gone through, and we figure about a year is the average stay for a person that does well, we have what's called an apartment program. And one of our sponsors has apartment buildings in Denver, and our clients can move in for $100 a month, and they pay that for 4 months. Then it's $125 for them for 4 months. Basically, it's just a slow climb back up. Nobody came from being president of the First National Bank to Larimer Street in one day, and they aren't going to get back that way either. So it's just a slow growth process.
Does that happen? Do people come from presidents of banks or good jobs and end
had
up on the street?
We've had airline pilots,
yeah.
veterinarians, computer programmers. Now we have 2 electrical engineers. We have an architect. So, people drive down Larimer and they see these people laying in the doorways and in the alleys and drinking on the corner, and they say, well, those useless bums, then this and that. But there's a lot of talent down there that's just going down the tube.
I have a question. How did the name Step 13 come up, Bob? Where did that come from?
Well, it came from the 12 steps, and the 13th step would be like when you went through the apartment program and back out into society and had your ducks in line, had a job, and built yourself a support base, and were responsible again.
So it's getting back into society again. Just amazing. And you have women that come into this program too. I know you touched on it a little bit, Kathy, but how does do you have a lot of women, and are there a lot of women that end up on the street that
Well, women's issues are slightly different, but basically we opened our women's facility 15 months ago. Excuse me. Since that time, we've had about 112 women pass through our doors. The difference is, of course, with women that families are more apt to support them for a longer period of time, that, men, quite often addictive relationships, they're involved in that. We have some battering situations. We have a little more of the more expensive type of drugs, cocaine, things like that in the Women's Center, but definitely there's a great need for that. The other issue is, of course, with most of them have children, but there is no place for women to go in this type of setting. But so from what we've seen, there's a definite need, and it's growing all the time.
And how long do people stay in Step 13? What is it?
Well, as we said, we'd like to see the people stay in at least a year. That seems to be about the average. And some of it, it depends on the person. If they've just hit a bump in the road, we've had people come in and do well in six weeks to 3 months. We have the one man that's been with us 2 years. So it's all individually orientated. As long as they're still growing and they're doing what they need to do, then we don't push the issue.
Now, Step 13 is nonprofit, right?
Correct.
Yeah. This is a program for people helping people, really helping, teaching you how to help yourself, teaching you how to fish, essentially. Again,
Exactly.
relearning it. How do you get funded, Bob? I mean, where does could you
Well,
explain the money? I mean, how does that work there? Maybe some people-
We're about 70% self-supporting through client fees and an annual fundraiser that we do, the Blue Moon Ball. We do that every year.
When do you do it? When's the Blue Moon Ball?
Well, we usually do it in August, but this year I believe it's going to be September the 15th. And at the present time, we have the facility that we just moved into 3 months ago. We have 28,000 square feet, and we use 8,000 square feet for the living area and 8,000 square feet for the kitchen and TV room meeting area. And then next 8,000 square feet, we hope to start a business up there involving our clients that would put us 100% self-supporting. We take no federal, state, or city monies, and we don't plan on doing that either. So it's just a bunch of good people that have picked up on what we're doing there, and they support us fully. And we have a great board of directors who go out in the community and solicit support, and it works.
You take no. You said, do you take grants, or you don't take any government money, or how does this work?
Nothing from the government. We do have foundation support, but we found that, getting it for two reasons. First off, we're teaching responsibility to our clients, so we feel very strongly that we want to be responsible for ourselves. The other issue is the red tape involved whenever you get involved in the government monies. What we found is that we can move very quickly and we can do things a lot less expensively as a private nonprofit.
Well, you said what red tape involved with government money. Can you give me an example? I mean, what is it? How does it?
Well, there's a lot more restrictions involved. You have to have so many counselors on staff per client. You have to have, well, you're more familiar with that than I am.
So this
It's
thing
more
works.
paperwork.
You have a
right,
20
we basically work.
And this works. You have a 28,000 square foot facility, and you're telling me that street winos and addicts come off the street and they are paying their own way, and by $6 a day or whatever, and this thing works and people are getting well, and no government money's going in this? This is amazing.
That's correct, and we just moved into that 28,000 square foot building, which had been boarded up. It was a disabled American veterans thrift store, and we made an arrangement with them to acquire the building. Now, if we'd have had anything to do with the government, it took us 9 months to the day to move in there, and we completely rehabilitated that building. Our clients did all the work on that building, and I would like to invite anyone listening out there to come down and see what these men have accomplished. It's at 2029 Larimer. But it would have probably taken us 9 years to get in there. It was hard enough dealing with...
So if you had to try to meet ADAD requirements, this thing never wouldn't even exist, would it?
Well, we always get asked how many counselors we have. And what I like to say is we have like a garden at Step 13, and there's 12 men there now at the present time with a year or more sobriety, a couple of them with 2. And so we call them our golden dozen there. They're our counselors. All of these men know each other, either from the soup line, the jail, the detox, the hospital, laying around in the park drinking wine. So when they hit the door at Step 13 and they see a John Aragon or a Gypsy sitting there with an old car, it's not a new car, but their own apartment and a job and a few bucks in their pocket, I mean, they're confronted with the total reality that they too can do it. They've been told that over and over by... See, here's the problem we had. We had 2 counselors. Between them, they had 5 master's degrees. The only problem was they were dealing with 65 men with a doctorate in streetology, and it was a mismatch. So there's a lot of game playing that goes on in different places, but there's no games at Step 13.
457-9952. Area code 303-457-9952. If you have any questions for Bob Cote or Kathy Ellis, you're listening to Addiction Free Radio. This is amazing. I mean, I've been having the same kind of problems myself, and the same sort of criticisms of our government systems. And it's like this is just beautiful. I mean, what you're doing, and